Hey yo, what is going on, viewers of the tube? You should know by now, but if you don't, I'm the host of this channel, and welcome to the only place that is getting powerful enough to flush even the biggest of shat coins right down where they belong. For those who were disgusted, that was not a poop but a donut. You know our Mr. Hanky. Howdy-o! It's time for Chico Crypto. So speaking of the shat coins, it's the garbage that has been hanging around to this day, and it has been a focus of mine to be able to identify those coins, so in the heat of the next run, in the coming years, they aren't able to slip into my wallet once again. The majority of the last 2 years has been a rebalancing of the markets, a crypto and altcoin purge never before seen in the industry. The markets, they were out of balance. The others category on CoinMarketCap, which is a majority shat coins, almost had more dominance combined than Bitcoin in January of 2018, aka the hype of the altcoins. 33% Bitcoin, 27% others. But since then, dominance of Bitcoin has been exploding, gaining over 30 percentage points, while the others category got obliterated, losing over 17 percentage points. Bitcoin rightfully took back the market cap that had been stolen from it in 2017. So how do you identify a complete and utter shat coin? Well, many of these coins got launched in 2017 or early 2018. If your coin for the past 2 years has just deflated down and hasn't rode any pumps because of developments, progress, or integrations with enterprises, you are most likely sitting on a shat coin. And a great place to check this, CoinGecko has a since all-time high feature, and any project around in 2017 that is still over 93% down since its all-time high is most likely not in a great position. XRP and Bitcoin Cash over 93%, Cardano over 96%, Tron nearly 94%, Stellar Lumens nearly 95%, Neo, Dash, IOTA, Ontology, Zcash, and the list goes on. Now, I'm not saying all of these are garbage with no developers that are working on jack squat, but a majority overstated and underdelivered. It has been 2 years since the 2017 bubble, and these coins all-time highs. What have they delivered, if anything, since then? What many people don't realize is that surviving crypto winners is only going to become more difficult as time goes on. Surviving this most recent bear winter, you needed liquidity, which meant being on a good amount of exchanges. But to be on those exchanges as a coin, you usually had to pay for a listing, which usually meant giving the exchange some of your coins. Projects, they had to find a balance between giving up too many tokens, which could provide constant downward pressure on a coin, versus having the liquidity to survive. So making deals with the exchanges is downright dirty business. I'll tell you that right now. And that is exactly what brings me into my number 4 shat coin for 2020, Binance and all Binance IEOs. So looking at the price, it is one of the few coins that was around in 2017 that passed its all-time high. And in 2019, it nearly doubled it. Although it has fallen back below the $20 2017 high and is 60% down since the $40 peak. And at its peak of $40, BNB pushed above BSV into the number 7 position and flipped it. But what I find to be hilarious is even after CZ used his power and delisted BSV from the exchange, helping the flip, you look at the top coins today, and Binance Coin just got flipped. By the way, I am no BSV supporter, and Craig is not Satoshi. Just funny that happened. But why is Binance Coin one of my top shat coins? Well, of course the coin is tied to a centralized entity, and all that utility is too. Remember when Binance Chain? Remember when Binance DEX? Well, let's just look at that dumpster fire. That's what it is, a pile of burning garbage. The Binance DEX, just over 586K in volume, or only 72 BTC. Why? Because there is nothing anyone wants to trade on it besides Binance Coin and a few others. Binance DEX went the route of starting its own chain. Thus, the DEX can only bring Binance BEP2 tokens to their DEX party. Not trying to integrate with the robust and built-out ERC20 token standard, but trying to compete with it. Wrong choice, in my opinion. They have tried to bring things which would increase liquidity, like a pegged Bitcoin. Yes, a Bitcoin on Binance chain called BTCB. and this was launched in June of 2019. And guess what? The tokens are held in a reserve by Binance. Yep, you gotta trust a centralized entity. And in the article back in June, here's what they said about the benefits. The main benefit of offering crypto-pegged tokens is that obviously this makes available to the Binance DEX traders the many coins that have their own blockchains and aren't native on Binance chain. With the increase in the selection of tokens available on Binance DEX, there should be an increase in trading volume and liquidity. This would further increase the utility value of Binance. Then below it gets even more hilarious. While this approach is more centralized than atomic swaps, we believe it provides a higher degree of ease of use to most traders. And most traders are already trusting Binance.com to hold their funds anyway. Well, below in the article, they post the reserve address you trust Binance with your Bitcoins at. And they say we have just reserved 9001 BTC and minted 9001 BTCB. Let's go to the reserve and see how many more BTCB have been made. 9001.002 something. Yes, just over 0.002 of a BTCB has been minted since Binance's own initial mint of 9001. Meaning no one is freaking using it or cares. And looking at the volume of BTCB, just over 2,000 bucks. And that is probably not from traders, it's just Binance bots testing it. So the DEX, it has been a massive failure, and it has also been a massive failure for ERC20 tokens who switched over, as they got caught up in the hype and decided to migrate to this Binance chain. An example of this is Unification Coin, announced last June that they are going to Binance chain, and pulling out the price chart. That saved it from dying, a pump, but then dump. And now, looking at the volume, the Binance chain and DEX of which they moved to has no volume at all. Bitforex and DigiFinex provide most of the volume, which is still their ERC20 token standard. BEP2 failed Unification Coin, but you need some more? How about this coin, which was a bad pick of mine, but the only reason it was a pick was because of the BitThumb listing. That coin is Bizant, and moving to BEP2 led to its death. Bizant, in May of 2019, before announcing it was moving to the Binance chain, had over 200K of volume on BitThumb as an ERC20 token. By June, Bizant announced a switch to Binance chain. And today, what do you think? That volume on BitThumb has disappeared, as Bizant went the dark side and partnered with a BitThumb competitor, leading to the coin's death. So, when the major utility of Binance Coin, the base trading pair of the DEX, is not working out as planned, you get the idea that the coin might be in for some rough times ahead. And these rough waters will be exaggerated by how Binance is moving itself forward against regulators, especially here in the good old US of A. Binance launched Binance US and said they were kicking off US users by September of last year. Did that happen? No, it did not. Per example, a guy on the daily discussion of the subreddit r cryptocurrency yesterday. How am I still able to use regular Binance as a US-based user? With other US users saying they can too. And at the bottom, this guy explains it perfectly. There's been all kinds of exchanges claiming US users are not allowed, but they don't or didn't actually enforce their policy. Not that different than 20-year-olds in a US bar. They're taking a measurable risk per US regulation. So, citizens of the US, they can participate in their IEOs, they can trade their futures, and they can leverage up to 125x. And if we go check out the Binance main exchange site statistics for December 2019, they had over 16.39 million page views, and 8.16% of that came from the US. That means over 1.3 million times just in December, someone in the US had the opportunity to leverage a futures contract or purchase an IEO, something regulators have said US citizens are not allowed to do. This is obvious, blatant disregard for the powers that be that can do damage to your project, aka the regulators. It's bad leadership, and it's one of the reasons why having a token tied to a person, CZ Binance in this case, is a bad idea. From Bloomberg's Economic Times in March of 2018, CZ said this: "At the same time, Zhao readily admits that Binance wants to minimize government oversight. We're okay to do things creatively to avoid unnecessary regulation." And since Binance's launch, they have been playing regulatory arbitrage, where they capitalize on the loopholes of a country's regulations. Binance was housed in China first, ran with the exchange ban, Japan second, kicked out of there, then temporary homes of Taiwan, Hong Kong, and then their third home, Malta and China. And now we found out they're kicked out of China again, so it's Malta and maybe Taiwan and Hong Kong. Thailand, maybe, I don't know. And people, their official home is Malta in the European Union. And Malta is getting investigated big time for government corruption to its core. Back in October of 2017, leading anti-corruption journalist in Malta, Daphne Galizia, was murdered by a car bomb. Everyone knew the reason. It was the government officials she was exposing, and investigations were put forward by the public as they were outraged. Well, over 2 years later, the corruption is about to be uncovered. November of this year, evidence started to drip, and Daphne and her murder were back in the news. Well, by December, it was starting to be revealed that Malta is a mafia state run by criminals, even the government and business elite. The Prime Minister of Malta, with links to her murder, Joseph Muscat. And in December, after investigations, he announced he will resign. And who is Binance's ally in that state? None other than Joseph Muscat, tweeting a welcome message when they first made their deal. And look here, who Binance, their charity, has on their senior advisory board, Marie-Louise. And she was president when she joined the charity, but has since resigned. And look at Marie, best friends with Joseph Muscat, a mafia gangster involved with car bombings. And of course, their charity is registered in Malta. So Binance's keys to safety in Malta is gone, both of them, Joseph and Marie, exiled. And if the new PM, Robert Abella, is going to do what he says and stop corruption, then Binance won't be in Malta for much longer. Having a coin tied to an entity that is running out of places to hide is one of the reasons to think 2020 is going to be tough. But like Binance Chain was supposed to provide utility and failed, another concept is doing just that, the Binance Launchpad and the Binance IEO. I do not like any Binance IEOs. The deal made by the IEO is a deal with the devil. And the amount of selling pressure from the Binance cartel is not ever going to go away. They got their tokens for either free or rock bottom prices, which any investor didn't get at that price. That means no matter what the token price, Binance is always in profit by selling their tokens. That is why usually you will see an IEO pump and then dump. Initially, the coin will pump to drive FOMO to retail investors. Once the exchange has the hype built around the coin, they begin their dump. And Binance isn't the only culprit. All exchanges pulled off this hustle throughout 2019. You can see it from IEOs and their price since all-time high. Binance IEOs, OKX ones, Huobi ones, KuCoin, shoot even Bitfinex and Bitrex down into the deep negative. And just the concept of the IEO doesn't do good things for a project's long-term community right out the gate. You get investors who have no long-term dedication to the coin, team, or the protocol they are building. Investors in IEOs are there to make a quick buck, a flip, and they are out. With an IEO, you usually have the project team, which controls the majority of tokens. They get those tokens for free. Then you have pre-sale, SAFT, and seed investors, which control the next majority of tokens. They get the tokens for rock bottom prices. The next majority is usually the exchange, which gets a chunk of tokens for the listing. They get the tokens for rock bottom prices, but usually free. Then you get the Launchpad token sale lottery winners, which get the tokens for a cheaper price than what they get listed at on the exchange. Every single participant of an IEO has the opportunity to dump for profits right out the gate. And for a soon-to-be ugly example of this, let's look at Kava on the Binance Launchpad. You have Kava Lab shareholders with 25%, the team, and the token treasury over 28%, aka tokens to pay the team. That is over 53%. Next, you have the private sale investors, 3 rounds with Kava, which combined is 40% of the tokens. Already, 93% of the tokens are in the hands of the people ready to make bank, Binance included, as they probably got paid from the token treasury. And the launchpad winners, the public, 6.52%. Okay, and just look at the prices these groups got them for. Launchpad, 46 cents. Private sale round 1, 7.5 cents. And that is 30% of the tokens. Private sale 2, 25 cents. And the last private round, 40 cents. Now pulling out the price chart of Kava, its price is at $1 right now, which means private sale 1 is up 14x from their initial investment. Round 2 over 4x. Round 3, 2.5x, and even the Launchpad lottery winners are up an over 2x. So why hasn't the token crashed if it's been out since October of last year? Well, as we can see, the volume is only 1.8 million of a $9 million market cap coin. The whales, they can't dump without completely obliterating this coin. They can only dump until more volume and exchanges take it on. And as we can see, where it was launched, Binance is not even the most volume exchange. Kava made a deal with Bilaxi. Wonder how many tokens they gave them. And that is where the most market making is going down. So will other legit exchanges list Kava when not an actual single person supports the actual protocol and what they are building, but every single token holder is looking to dump and dump soon? I don't think so. So IEOs, most of them are chit, and I'm sure there are a couple good IEO projects building great things, but the tokenomics, they're just too ugly. And maybe in a year or two after the selling pressure is gone, they might rise from the ashes of poo. So you may think I just hate Binance, and that is the reason I made this video. Well, I do hate Binance, but these are the facts of the matter. And if you don't want to see them, keep your head in the toilet. Cheers. I'll see you next time.